welcome everybody. So we've already been chatting a little bit, but I'm Philly Lander and one of the co-organizers of Women in Agile London, and this is Bianca Schobel. Hello.
Hello.
We also have a third, Alex Minnie, but as we were telling some people earlier, she's moving house right now out of very central London out into an area that is very green. It's at least an hour away from London by train, so she's yeah, still a bit busy right now, but she's with us in spirit. Yeah, so what we always like to do when we start here at Women in Agile London is just first of all remind you what Women in Agile is, the overarching org that we like to refer to as the mothership. We are a local chapter of it, so you can read there for yourself. But basically, it's an entity that exists to promote women within Agile, and I'd kind of say beyond, with a network of women and allies, basically anybody that is in for the same thing in a positive way. And just a reminder of our code of conduct, just please take a little minute to read that and remind yourselves. Yeah, so you can support the local community, our local chapter, and you can read our meetup on themeetup.com. You can apply to speak at a session, invite friends, come along, which you have done tonight. Thank you very much. And once we're back into the real world, we loved coming to different offices and being hosted, so we'll let you know when that's live. Or also facilitate a session as well. So we're interested in people facilitating workshops as well, not just always talks. So you can get engaged in many different ways. So like you said, you can get engaged directly with the mothership by joining the local Slack as well, and just by working with us too. So there's a few different connection points there for the mothership.
These are all under Women in Agile org website. So you will find links to all these there and more information if you really want to do this. Right, this is where I want to jump in and give a big thank you to Joe. For those of you who don't know Joe, I think some of you will know because we always thank him. You know, all those amazing YouTube videos with all the flashy music, like all the video editing and everything else. Well, that's Joe. We don't do that. We just record the sessions, and then Joe is our best man to do that. So he spends a lot of time editing our videos. So if you do need any help with everything or like video related, just go under tidyjoevideo.com and you will find out what he does. He's really good, and he's been with Women in Agile London since day one. So we want to give him a big thanks. On the same note, there are a couple of communities that we like to partner up, whether it's for like asking for speakers or maybe we just join their communities for their events. These three are the next ones, and if you need to find out more, I've left some links that I will also share in the chat. So if you haven't heard about Aginex community, it's time to find out. These guys are really big in London. They organize lots of conferences dedicated to everything about like business agility, DevOps, continuous delivery, everything to do with post-agile age. They have a conference every year, Aginex 2022, and also Agile Tour London. If you want to find out more, I think, yeah, I left the link, sorry, on the slide. Just go and have a look. I'm sure you're going to find some really interesting topics. There's also Developers Week. This is one of the largest developers conferences, and they have lots of like workshops, and they organize hackathons. They have lots of like hiring expos, technical talks, keynotes, lots of things. I think big names like Google, Facebook, Yelp, IBM, Red Hat, and other companies actually had speakers at their conference. Again, this is happening in February 7 till 9. If you want to find out more, they have a couple of free events that you can just sign up to. The last but not the least, VTF is just a really nice conference. The call for paper is still out. They are a really nice bunch of people. They have an all-day long conference for everything to do with site reliability engineers, leadership, culture, culture and tech, actually, everything to do. The call for paper, yeah, link is in the slides. I will send it to you. They're really nice, and yeah, they asked if anyone would like to share something. Just get online and sign up.
Also, some things we wanted to bring to your attention, some job opportunities, one in London, one in New York. So London, this is an old colleague of mine who's building out her new team at Genomics England. Really, she's amazing, so she would be a great boss. But also, they're doing a lot of work, and the work they do is so vital, working towards the treatment of patients in the UK suffering with cancer and disease. So an amazing purpose to have as part of your work. And also an opportunity in New York. This is actually from my team in Bloomberg. And I've got the links that I will paste in. I have them ready, but I'll paste them in just a little second. So yeah, so at Bloomberg, I'm in London, but my team goes across into New York, and we're looking for people based there. So I know we get quite a global audience here, or if you know anybody in New York, we're doing some, I can't divulge information, unfortunately, but we're doing some really interesting work. So we just wanted to bring these opportunities to your attention.
If you do want to share anything with any of your friends or colleagues, you can find us on Twitter under Women in Agile London. For YouTube, again, it's super simple. If you just search for Women in Agile London and you subscribe, every time we post a new video, you will get notified, so you can easily do that. Meetup, I think since you're all here, you know about Meetup, so I don't need to tell you where to find our page. And we do have a website. We haven't actually updated in a while, but we will probably try and do more there. So yeah, if you do find anything interesting tonight, just share on Twitter. I'm sure most of your friends will follow on that. Yes, so time for the big part of tonight, and to welcome our lovely speakers. Thank you very much on behalf of Women in Agile London for signing up to Lightning Talks. For those of you who don't know what the Lightning Talk is, just a very quick intro. It's a short presentation, yeah, lasting just a couple of minutes. And they're usually given at conferences or similar events. Usually within a session, you will have a couple of lightning talks, just like we're gonna do tonight. So we have these 7 amazing women that signed up to present tonight. And let's just start with the first one and give them the room. So first one, I hope, yeah, I can see you. Meenakshi, do you wanna start?
Hi all, thanks. I really like the starting and the pitch for the Women in Agile. Welcome all. So here we get started. Let me just share my screen and let me know when you're able to see it. So this is, I wanted to really talk about, outcomes over output sessions. So just to give you a brief. So what is the output? Output, is something that you do, and outcome is something, that happens as a consequence of what you do. So before I start, jump into my slides, I really want to do, a small Kahoot session. So what I want to know, go to the kahoot.it, sign in for this campaign, and let's get, started. It will be very quick, some 7 questions, 10-second each, so that I will not take much of your time. So I can see Philly is already signed in. I think I'm having a free version of Kahoot, and I just allow 20 persons in. So okay, guys, yeah. Okay, let me start. So this 3, 2, 1. So amount of something produced by a machine person, what it is called. Outcome. Only one answer. Okay, it's quick one. I just gave 10 seconds. Is it visible? My screen is visible, right? You're following it. Next one. See the scoreboard? Philly, 9, next one. For making a meal, what is the probable output? You're making a meal. What is the output? A good taste, a good food, and nutrition. I'm looking for the output. Time up. Just skipping that. So daily stand-up, what is the probable outcome of the daily stand-up? I know everybody is coming from the Agile background here. Action plan to remove impediments, identification of impediments, status sharing, or impediments do not hinder the team progress. Time 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So like, impediment should not hinder the team progress. That is what is outcome of the, our daily stand-up. It's not about getting the status. Phil is on fire. So probable output, what is, of the backlog refinement? What do you think is a probable output for the backlog refinement? The story meets the definition already. Team is clear on the value of the story. We understand what the story talks about, or it's, it have the success experience criteria. 4, 3, 2, 1. Story meets definition already. That is the output. Okay. I guess nobody is beating Philly. Sprint planning. What is the probable output of sprint planning? And understanding what the work will be, capacity, team understanding the sprint goal. Sprint plan. Great. I'm having a great audience. So I think they all are clear of the outcome output. It makes me easier. So how can we treat it as outcome of a retro? Again, 5, 4, 3. Continuous improvement. Nice one. I think this is the last one, the specific outcome post-sprint review. So thanks all. So this is what, I just wanted to set the stage with the emphasis on what's the output and all. Oh, Amy, thanks. And I'm still through who should be. Yes, great guys. Hope you are, and we have runners. Claudia and Loana are the runner-ups. Never mind, guys. So it was, it was just a game, and we wanted to understand the, emphasis of what's the outcome over outputs, So thanks for, sharing, having this Kahoot. Moving forward, I want to, share the story. If I know you guys must have heard about Alice in the Wonderland, everybody must have know about it. So, when Alice got lost in the woods and she met a cat, she asked, which way do I ought to go? And the cat replies, it depends on where you want to go. Alice then says, I don't much care upon which cat. She concludes, then doesn't matter which way you go. This really affects the way we want to work and what you want to do a particular job. So if we are just doing, effective coordination and execution, they're irrelevant when you're solving the wrong problem. So that's what this output over outcome is. So let's see a small example. So we have a small website, when a client can come book a flight, a taxi on a hotel. So we had a lady, she planned in advance. She wanted to celebrate her anniversary with her husband, and she has planned well ahead. So what happened just on the day of the event? She got a call from the the customer care that, sorry ma'am, something urgently came up and they want to cancel the booking. And obviously it was not a pleasant, she was not very happy about it. Team tried, they try to do whatever they can. They listen to the customer, they show empathy, and they respond. Even they reasoned with the restaurant manager, like in the event they couldn't solve any of this, they need to offer her the percentage refund. And because they did everything as the rule book has said it. So but what happened toward the end? Customer was not happy. What could have been done to make it as a happy customer? And that is what is outcome. What is small behavioral things that we can do to change it? So that's what I wanted to share. So what is the outcome? Outcome is a very, very small measurable change in a behavior that derives the business result. What are the measure? So what are those measurable change in behavior that we create? Behavior of the customer, of the people, what are our users doing, what are we doing, and how we can create more value for our customer. Just imagine if we had do it little differently and given the, enable our teams to, to handle that situation in a different way. They could have gone a little beyond. They could have even checked the restaurant beyond whatever she has booked already. Are there another available restaurant with the same or higher prices available nearby? And because now you're giving them the ownership, team would have gone, okay, we will bear the hit and let's give what towards the end we want a happy customer. This is what is, outcome focused team is. When we call in a, eventually we need to send, when people, they want to align what they think, feel, and then they will achieve the outcome that you're looking forward for. So what you mean by the, outcome driven team? So when a small design agile team, discover that they are working on the wrong problem for any of the reason, they can easily change. They can change because, they are directly collaborating with the stakeholders. They are directly engaged with the customer, requiring the signals, trigger the discovery, the plans to change. From the organization perspective, you can say this team has been encapsulated. The ability to change the plan is within their, collaborative area of influence, and they can change the plan because they're working together, both from the stakeholder side, on the technology side, and team that is creating the product or the solution. And they share an understanding of the value or the opportunity or the complexity of solving the problem. They share the understanding of the suitability of the design, that will potentially solve the problem. They share the understanding how of what will happen. They can collectively manage the technological market uncertainty and how they're going to do their work. What is this called? This team is called as outcome driven. And whenever they get any problem to solve, they can pivot a new way to solve it, because the team is encapsulated. And this complexity of the change, it get unnoticed, because whatever is happening, it is happening inside the team. They have got that, they've got that environment. They have got that empowerment to change. So it's better whether we should give our team, a problem to solve, not a steps to execute. And that is what will make the difference. And that's what I wanted to be emphasis on today. And that's all. I wanted to thank you all for joining me. So this is what was a small insight about the outcome of our output. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or anything from anyone in the audience before we move to the next talk?
I just wanted to say that the Kahoot thing was super cool, even if I wasn't there on the podium, and also probably have to go back and study some Agile more.
Yes,
No
really
pressure,
great tool.
No pressure.
Thank you, guys.
All right, moving on. If you do have questions that you haven't thought about, use the chat and just address the questions so that everybody can see them. I'm going to now invite our second speaker tonight, Gabrielle. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Wanted to talk about setting personal goals with an agile mindset. And this is something that I feel like a lot of us in our work lives, we're Scrum Masters, product owners, and Agilists, and we do that for our career, and we don't always consider where we can instill agility in our personal lives as, wives, mothers, partners, even running school, groups to raise money for schools and things like that. It's something that you can use in every aspect of your life. Confucius once said something very similar to, when your goals are unreachable, you really shouldn't try to change your goals. You set them for a reason. They mean something to you. So instead of changing them, maybe look for a way to change your steps to get to them. So something that I do is I identify the barriers that are preventing me from accomplishing my goals. Is it time? Is it money? Am I educated enough? Sometimes we don't have enough money to do the entire goal, but maybe you can, if you spread it out over time, you can finance things. So maybe one week you buy a bag of mulch, and the next week you buy the plant to plant into the mulch, and the week after you buy the really good hose so that you can water the plant, and then you have everything. You've reached that goal of having something planted in your front yard or whatever. You find ways to compromise. So in agility, we are always having to pivot and change and adapt and inspect and retrospect and reflect on things. So how can we position our lives to make space for this goal? Can I compromise and maybe do something slightly differently so that this goal is real and I can make it happen? Don't be afraid to dive in without all of the information. So even if you don't know what all of those steps are to get to that goal, get started. You have to start somewhere. Uncertainty encourages creativity. And this is all about just enabling success in your life. taking those impediments away from you, finding those barriers and pivoting and changing how you're looking at it so that your goal is obtainable. So one thing I like to do too is, you know, in my personal life, I'm not using the company Jira or Trello or whatever. I use the free tools available to me. So I use Trello, Miro, Mural, Google Jamboard, Google Docs, Google Slides, all of those things, even Google Sites. I make a private site and I, you know, plan things with the family. This is an example of a Trello that I used. I wanted to work on my house, my curb appeal on my house financially. Didn't have, you know, the $3,000, I'll use dollars. Don't know what that is in pounds, probably more in pounds. I didn't have that much to throw at once. So over the course of the summer, I wanted to plan to remove the old shrubs and bushes and, you know, get rid of those, put down the weed blocking, put down the mulch, plant some pretty plants, and then at the end have a really beautiful front flower bed. So that's kind of what my husband and I did. We broke down the pieces and we found ways to do it over a series of weeks. So I definitely recommend the use of Trello. Another tool that I have used is Miro. Miro and Mural are very similar. You can also use a, you know, MS Paint, Word documents and things like that to just draw pictures and draw that spider graph, draw that mind map. So I had another goal. I wanted to start graduate school. I had completed my bachelor's degree and I wanted to go and get a master's degree. And that felt so intimidating, that big goal of getting that master's degree. I had to map out what it takes to get started. So first off, I have to pick a program. What am I going to get my master's in? What school am I going to go to? MBA, computer science, communications, what school, online, in person? I picked online, spoiler alert. My schedule, did I have to rearrange my schedule? Do I need to create a routine? Do I have to compromise with my family and tell them Sundays are for homework or something like that? Technology, I had to get a new computer because I have to have a good video to join my classes. I have to have a tablet to read my e-textbooks because everything is virtual and it's cheaper that way. I can rent my textbooks. So financially, that's a plus. Do I need a printer for my coursework? Sometimes it's good to print it out and do it the old-fashioned pen and paper way. And then saving money. So those were all of the enablers of this goal. In order to realize this goal and make it happen, I have to make time. I have to have the technology. I have to pick the program that makes sense. I have to save money and make it happen. Without breaking those out and saying, you know what, I have an answer for all of those, I wouldn't have been able to just get started. And right now I'm actually on my 4th class of my grad school program. I did choose an MBA and I'm working on that through the University of South Carolina online. So not a realized goal yet, but I'm working towards it iteratively, slowly, taking one class at a time. And then I wanted to kind of close with a really comforting, just an easy daily affirmation for Agilists. So we have our careers and our job goals, and we know what that looks like. And we have all the people that we work with and our Scrum teams and things like that. They all have goals too, and we have goals for them, but our own goals that I will find ways to improve and succeed every day, no matter how small of a step forward. And that could be true of weight loss, money saving, grad school, cleaning a room that's messy, helping a child to learn how to write, little things. Just find those little wins every day, every week, every month, and those will gradually lead you to reaching your goal or goals. And I really appreciate being given the opportunity to meet with you guys, and really enjoyed meeting everyone, Women in Agile London. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a little quick reminder about goals.
Well done.
Thank you.
Really nice.
I love the topic.
If we want to take a little bit of a break to ask questions, to find out more about the talk, now is your time.
And I really appreciated the talk, especially the last with the daily affirmation of an Angelist. And I was asking in the chat, but mostly to also other speakers coming that if you're okay for me to tweet some of the things besides what already women in London, Agile London will share. It's okay. It was really cool, that one. And
Yes, really nice.
Please tweet the affirmation. I absolutely need no ownership of it. I think it's just something it's good to remind ourselves of. And I do love Miro. It's my favorite tool.
I think I've heard so many people. I've heard so many people using it. I haven't had the chance yet to try it out, so it's on my list.
Amazing for retros, plannings, all of that.
I went down yesterday for an hour and I didn't know what to do with my life.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it. You know, it's like also like Slack reinvented the IRC discussion and everything is just an IRC like this, but it just works way better, or it's like the same. Mind maps are not anything new, but Miro made them so popular lately, and it just works really good. Yes.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. Learning, still learning.
There should be a quick lightning talk on how to use a mind map.
Nice. There we go. Do you want to be our next lightning talk speaker?
I've never used one, so I can't.
There we go.
Do that
that's a topic I could do, though.
Nice. There we go.
Yeah.
TVS just saying we have a Romanian saying, who says it will do it. So
if I do a lightning talk, it would be
for you now, yes.
the journey of a beginner in using mind maps.
Perfect. Sounds like a title to me. Thank you very much again, Gabrielle. This was really, really nice. I'm going to invite Rebecca next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just share my screen. So I'm Becky. I am a Scrum Master at a company called Air, and we are in the financial services sector. So I'd like to talk today about my unusual path to Agile. So first of all, how did I get here? Well, I took a job in 2017 with Air, and I was their office manager. And there's a picture of me in my office hosting a party. So I had a fun job. I did parties, I did lunches. I also ordered coffee beans, but it was a great job. I've always come from a very ops background, so it suited me. And then fast forward to 2020, and along comes COVID. So at this point, we end up closing our office for good and all go remote. So now I'm an office manager with no office. As you can see, I have a little bit of a problem. So I was really lucky in that the company I work for saw something in me that they thought I would be at home and be able to add value in another part of the business. And they floated the idea of being a Scrum Master. And my first instinct was, oh no, I can't do that. I didn't really know what it was, to be fair, but I didn't think I could do it. But I was encouraged to read about Agile and read about Scrum, because that's what we use at Air. So I did, and I remember reading in the Agile Manifesto the sentence that talks about valuing individuals and actions over processes and tools. And I'm very much a people person, and it kind of resonated with me. And also I was sort of encouraged to think about my own innate strengths. So we use the Clifton Strengths Assessment at Air, and in my top 5, I have adaptability, empathy, and developer, which even then I could see lend themselves to the Scrum Master role. However, now, down the line, I absolutely see how they are almost, for me, fundamental to the role. So it's been just over a year. How is it going? So it's going really well. I'm here, and my people lead has been encouraging me to do a lightning talk for a long time, and I didn't. I was like, yeah. Really, I meant no. But here I am. I've had training. So I've done the Agile Facilitator training. I've done my PSM1, and I'm currently in the middle of my Agile coaching training. So I think training has definitely helped massively, built my confidence, as well as actually giving me some tools. Support, absolutely. People were in my office, well, people in the remote office believed in me when I didn't believe in me. And the encouragement I've had has been absolutely fantastic from my people lead and head of product and the people in my team. I think I was lucky in that because I had a working relationship with everybody, that I've been Scrum Master for 3 different squads, and almost everyone, they knew me as the office manager. So we had working relationships, and I think that gave me better buy-in, and I think they forgave my mistakes perhaps more readily than strangers would have. And another thing that I've learned is feedback is good. And I was encouraged for a long time to ask for feedback, and it felt far too vulnerable to do. But now I'm at a place where I will often ask for feedback, and even if it's not all glowing, I'm almost comfortable with that. And I think those things have helped me to get through this. I don't want to say get through this year, but to learn this last year or so. So what are my takeaways? I would say that, oh, I need to quote, I won't ignore Brené Brown. I'm going to read you the quote. So we can choose courage or we can choose comfort, but we can't have both, not at the same time. And that's absolutely true. This journey has been very uncomfortable for me. And I remember speaking to my people lead and saying, when is it going to be comfortable? And it might never be comfortable because you're dealing with people, and it's a Scrum Master role, and there's lots of things that are different coming up all the time. But know that if you're going to go out of your comfort zone, it's going to be prickly and itchy. Also, do things in your own time. Don't be pushed into anything. Take your time, pace yourself. And what I would say is, if you're thinking of taking on something that is out of your comfort zone, there will be elements of that are easier than others. And even the prickly hard things within that journey, they can be the most empowering things that you do. Once you've come through these really hard things and you don't want to do it, you get through and you're like, wow, I did it. So my takeaway is gather your courage and go and be uncomfortable, my friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a similar background, Rebecca. It's very introverted INTJ personality, and somehow I'm giving lightning talks and a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
Yep. Many kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yes, well done. Keep on going. Any questions from anyone or anything to add?
Do you think you're one of many people who have done a change of career and gone out of their comfort zone?
I think probably lots of people have from the pandemic. Yes, absolutely. And I would never have dreamt this was possible. I've never really had a career. I'm a floater. I'll go where the wind blows. So, and to have a career is, I find it amazing. I'm like, look at me, everybody, I've got a career. So yeah, I think a lot of people have had to do it and perhaps wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for the pandemic. I definitely would never have done it.
Rebecca, is that it? That switch impacted you in other areas of your life and opened you up to other things that you may not have considered before? Because your story is pretty incredible.
Thank you. Yes, because I would never have done this if I've, stayed in that role. It was really comfortable and I loved it. Imagine, parties, lunches, days out. That was what I was doing. It was great. It was so comfortable. I would never have moved. So coming out of that and meeting and new people as well, or not meeting new people because I work with them, but just seeing a whole different side of people. And because I absolutely love people, almost everyone, not quite. That's been fantastic. And even doing this, the reason I signed up was I think I was on the line with my people lead, Meena. She was doing a talk, and I spoke to some lady was talking about they don't have many, don't have like loads and loads of speakers, because I assumed there'd be loads and loads of speakers and they'd all be better than me. So yeah, you doing these hard things build your courage elsewhere for sure.
Message there from Han, who can't speak because he's got a screaming child, so she can't unmute, but But it's great they saw those skills in you and encourage you to push yourself. Getting into tech can be daunting, but people are people.
They are. Yeah, that's what I've learned.
Great. Thank you so much again, Rebecca. Really, really nice to have you and hope to have you here again. The person who actually recommended you was here for a lightning talk and then she came back with a longer talk. So thanks to Mina. Yeah, thank you very much. It's really nice to build community like that. I'm gonna invite Nisha to present her talk now.
So I'm Nisha, good to meet all of you and lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on and share my experiences of digital transformation. You'll have to excuse me, I have a bit of a sticky mouse, so hopefully everything will go okay. There's a little bit about me here. I'm a delivery consultant. I started off in tech as a business analyst. Gosh, I'm giving my age away now, but it was when the Nokia 3210 phone was out and I had that little brick as my company phone. But I've been lucky and very, very fortunate to work with some great teams to coach them to realize their goals and organizations' goals as well. So yeah, I have moved from business analysis to project management, program management, and have now loving my time as an agile coach. Worked on a lot of digital transformation projects and digital transformation projects and programs. They have been around for a long time. What is not digital right now? Everything seems to be digital. What's special about the times that we live in now is that we have a lot of that volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, in that we're not really sure oftentimes how to plot our way forward in terms of the products or the changes we might be working on within organizations to be able to react to the market. And that is why, in the haste to respond to that, I believe sometimes we forget the most important ingredient, and that is people. So there's so many definitions of digital transformation around. This one from CIO really struck a chord because it talks about how technology is actually that enabler for people, processes, and it's an enabler for us to start imagining and realizing what is possible in terms of the new business models. So people, it starts with people, and people are the main vehicle behind that shift in mindset. I always start, ever since the pandemic, I've started to look out for kind of different business models out there, because it's interesting to me how businesses actually have reacted to it. It's normally, if you're working within an organization, yes, you'll get the organizational view. What the pandemic has done is opened out loads of these stories for us so we can actually see how organizations are reacting to it. For example, Red Roof, right? That's a motel hotel chain in the US, and they had a under one roof campaign. So anyone that wanted to work from home but did not have either the space at home to work from home was able to go out, have a day, using a day rate, hire a hotel room and make that happen for themselves. And we're able to get some space, get some mind space, and work from home. All of you that are fans of the Great British Bake Off will like Bake with a Legend. So what they did over the pandemic was that they got the stars of the Great British Bake Off to have online sessions. So you could book online baking sessions with them live from their kitchens. My sister is a great British Bake Off fan, so she was a big fan of that. So this example actually shows how these companies have not held on tight to what's currently working. They've not just said, okay, we're doing fine, let's carry on in the same way. They've thought, well, how can we actually evolve within this climate? Which brings me on to the mindset that you need to have. People going through digital transformation, organizations going through this journey often come across mixtures of these types of either sentiments, stances. So the classic fixed mindset, growth mindset, but as someone that's involved in delivery and in the agile space, what can that actually feel like? How does it feel to be in that space? And often it can feel like you're going against the grain if there is a fixed mindset, a fear of failure, or more like Meenakshi was talking about earlier on in the session, a more output driven approach rather than, let's focus on the good outcomes that we need. Let's ask ourselves, what is the market demanding from us, right? How can we involve everyone across the organization to come up with the best ideas? How can we be inclusive about this? And how can we find that bravery and that courage to release quickly and improve quickly, right? So sometimes it can feel like you are going against the grain, and it might make you feel like, okay, so you know what, why bother, right? But if you do find that in your organization, my advice would be to look for areas where you can make that difference. There may be smaller, there may be champions on a smaller scale, but you could affect change in smaller areas, and look for those. That's what I found works definitely in my approach. The mindset shift can only be brought about by a cultural shift. So I'll give you an example. And again, this quote made me remember what it was like to join a legal services company. I accepted a contract with a legal services company. I hadn't used Scrum ever in my life. I was a heavily, waterfall project manager, program manager. However, the culture that was fostered within that organization was very welcoming. They understood where my mindset was and were willing to work with it. They didn't think of Agile as an exclusive club, the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, if you know kind of attitude. They took me on board, which was great. I helped explain to me what their drivers, what they were, striving towards in terms of their legal product releases and what they wanted out of it. That made all the difference, and it helped me and inspired me to start my Scrum practice. Culture comes from somewhere and is set by somewhere, right? And that's the leadership. So again, these are some great kind of traits that I've actually seen in leaders that I've come across in the organizations that I've worked with. They don't sit on the sidelines. They're not a spectator. They drive, they actively look for those processes, the technology, the ways of working, the automation. They will make sure that they bleed out into other companies within the sector to make sure that they understand what's being used and the good practices. They have a learning mindset themselves, and they also have compassion and empathy, not just for themselves, but for others who are coming along in the journey, knowing that it's not going to be an easy thing. I mean, John Cotter says something like it takes 3 to 5 years to make an effective cultural change. So they have to have that empathy and that compassion, but that drive to be able to know that they are in for the marathon, really. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to me. If you want to know any more about what I've experienced and what I've seen works in this space, feel free to get in touch over LinkedIn, and happy to take any questions.
Woo. Yay.
Did I stick to the 5 minutes, guys? I tried.
We're not actually keeping track of the minutes, so we did say 5 minutes, but you all have some amazing topics, so we're not crazy about the time. It's more about what you want to tell us. So well done. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Any questions from anyone?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, and keep in touch.
You're a very confident speaker. I think I need to learn that.
Thank you.
Have you given the talk anywhere else yet? Because it's really, really good.
Oh no, this was raw from my experiences. So yeah.
Great.
I regretfully will have to hop off of here soon. It is actually like 2 in the afternoon for me, so I'm gonna have to go pick up my daughter, but I'll jump back. I'll leave my stuff running in case I get back in time. I can jump back on video.
Thank you so much. Let's continue. Aylin, you want to go next?
Hello everyone, my name is Aylin. Today I am going to talk about taking action. Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not ready at all. This is my first ever public speaking and it's not in my native language. Also, I'm a little bit perfectionist. When it comes to taking action, I draw myself back thinking that I need to learn more. Most of the time I simply postpone by making excuses, or I may even find myself being convinced not to do it at all. But hey, the best way to learn is often by taking action. And that's why exactly I'm here today. One of the greatest authors, James Clear, says that there will never be a perfect time to do something that stretches you. If you were ready for it, it wouldn't be growth. Sometimes your identity can hold you back from taking actions. It can be anything. And you can find yourself saying that I'm terrible with directions. I can't even draw a straight line. Or I have a terrible voice. I am too old for this stuff. And you start questioning yourself, your abilities, without even trying. That's why mostly dreams are killed by lack of confidence, not by lack of ability. Now, let's stop making excuses for a moment and ask if you really want to do it. If the answer is yes, think of how can it be done? How can I be better? How can I get going? Start somewhere. These answers will lead you to take action. So how to take action? Let me explain the agile way. Just a moment. First, clear your mind. Focus on one thing that you really want to, something that you are excited about. Second, do it right now. Now is the perfect time. Third, once you have identified the essentials, go fast. Always encourage yourself to keep going. And finally, do it the right way. Acting fast doesn't mean acting sloppy. Get to work right away, but keep working on it until it's right, until it's correct. The most important thing is positive thinking. Assume assume your goal is accomplished and it will be accomplished. One day or another, you'll be saying that I never miss workouts. I finish what I start. I like singing songs. I know how to salsa. And I do lightning talks, literally. The cliche saying that life is a stage and you are the main character. Well, I totally agree with it. You are on the stage and building your character along the play. Why not make the best of it? The stage is all yours. Thank you so much for listening, and special thanks to Alex Mini for encouraging me to do this talk.
Woo, well done.
Well, I am still excited.
That's good.
It's good.
Congrats, Aylin. Wanted to say that this talk should be like, I don't know, made in a way to be shared, like with everyone. So like, oh, but I cannot do it. Do the first step. I had to tell people so many times that I'm also introvert. I know I'm not showing it, but someone has to step on a stage and present something, or someone has to speak in a crowd sometime. And that was my motivation. And people are like, oh, but it's easy. It's not easy. You just have to put your mind, like you said, decided to do it, do the slides, do a talk, and done. And look, you survived. And even well done.
Thank you.
So step one done. Well done. I'm sure Alex will be really happy to hear that you managed to go through, and yeah, you've done great. Keep on going.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
I have to say, really, really lovely slides as well. I was captured by the colors on the first slide. Really nice.
Perfectionist.
If we need to take action, we need to put some makeup sometimes.
Nice. Well done.
So step 1 was doing the presentation. Step 2 is stop sharing.
Sorry.
Oh, well done. Congrats. It's the public speaking is always hard the first times you do it, even the last times you do it. I've done a lot of public speaking myself, just within the company, just because I had to. You don't know? Did I have to? Actually, Bianca was there at one point. We worked together at one point.
You had to.
Yeah, eventually you get used to it, but I was always super nervous before, and I still get nervous before.
I was actually talking to a friend of mine. She is a public speaker and she does like lots of conferences. She's at Google, so she's really, really good, and she does this as a job, right? And she tells me that every time she has to do a new talk, she's still nervous. So I don't think the nerves are necessarily something bad. I think you just have to learn to cope with them and just, they're there. It's good that they're there. This means you're excited. It has to be like you have to think of them like positive, not negative. They're good nerves in the end, and that's about it. I think you're all doing great tonight. Thank you so much again. Well done. Keep on doing it.
I was saying the same to people like, oh, I'm still emotional. Still got a bit red I'm blushing. And people were like, literally say two people told me, you're human, you're still human. People have emotions. If you not have any reaction when you step on a stage, it means that you're either a cyborg or a robot, or you're already dead. So be happy that you still feel it, the inside, the intensity at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree. Thank you so much. Moving on, Claudia, you're next.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let me share my screen. Okay. So hello everyone, I'm Claudia and I am an organizational agility consultant at PA Consulting. Essentially, I help financial services firms redesign their operating model for agility. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to you about my two main passions, agility and diversity and inclusion. So let's start. So here's a scenario. There is AgiMad Corporation and they want to solve problems quicker with agility. And we are all flies on the wall during the most senior executive meeting. So let's look at the agenda. What's wrong with it? Well, actually, it's great because they're talking about agile agility at the most senior executive level. But as the meeting goes on, you can indeed tell that they are stuck in a transformation loop. Why? Well, NPS scores are going up, but customers are still unsatisfied. And yes, agile teams are using Scrum, but there's no actual continuous improvement implemented. And yes, training is being delivered, but culture is not improving. So why? Well, let's take a step back. So we all know that we live in a very complex world, but actually what we don't know is that we don't really know what's yet to come. And that creates all another level of complexity. It is simply unsurprising that organizations have turned to Agile and agility to solve this complexity. I mean, we all know Agile solves complexity by promoting empiricism, collaboration, continuous learning. However, even with agility, there's some challenges that organization cannot tackle. But why? What is the missing ingredient? Well, resolving complexity needs different minds. Ingenuity needs different perspectives. So to enable agility and solve the real challenges, I think that we need diversity and inclusion. So organizations should stop seeing diversity as a KPI and take the leap and see it as an asset. This means seeing diversity as the true catalyst for business agility and complex problem solving. So we all know that an agile organization is likely to have these three characteristics. They're customer focused, they're adaptive, and they empower employees. And I believe that none of these three aspects can be achieved without diversity and inclusion. But how can this really help? So let's look at it together. First, we know that every organization is facing the challenge, how do we stay relevant? And here comes Agile. But the Agile drive to quickly market the product is sometimes not enough to address customer diversity. Instead, it can lead to rush releases that are basically ignorant of a diverse market base. And you will know that accessibility requirements don't usually make the cut for MVP. So how can diversity really help? Well, first of all, it helps with communicating with customers and creating bonds. So for example, do not try to organize a focus group if your development team is made up of all men and asking a group of women, customers women, for feedback on a period tracking app. That is not going to work. A truly diverse team is able to understand each type of customer. In fact, second, diversity really helps with understanding and empathizing with the unique perspectives. And third, diversity really helps with reduction in group thinking. So a group lacking diversity and interpreting a set of quantitative data, so numbers, will definitely miss opportunities for diverse products. Why? Because they will only take into account what the majority wants. Second, diversity is paramount for practicing Scrum properly. No company can be said to be practicing Scrum without these three elements on the screen, and we all know that. However, most companies still struggle to inspect and adapt the current systems of power. This is because I think a long-standing inertia, which is fueled by the lack of diverse thinking. So diversity can help with transparency. If you focus on making something fair, then transparency will come. If something is fair, no one hides it. Inspection. Well, diversity promotes cultural curiosity. It means it allows different people asking different questions which challenge the status quo. And third, adaptation. Well, if you're used to deal with different people and different ideas, then you will be more likely to accept new ways of working and organizational changes that come with business agility, digital transformation, and just complex problem solving. And last, empowerment. Empowerment is crucial to agility, but empowerment comes from trust. And unfortunately, trust is not always the best friend of diversity. Most studies, in fact, say that we trust people that look like us. So if a company doesn't link their agile empowering efforts with diversity, well, only the employees who look like the boss will be empowered. So how does diversity really help? Yes, companies should focus on empowering, but also on removing unconscious bias. Create an environment with no microaggressions. Treat everyone the same and empower everyone the same. And second, focus on empowering, but also focus on psychological safety. We need to remove the diverse syndrome, which is the fear that making different decisions or introducing new ideas or even making different mistakes will be punished. So what should executives do? Well, I propose a new agenda. Yes, look at the NPS scores, but actually start tracking the number of focus groups organized with diverse customer teams. And do look at the accessibility scores. Yes, it is important to make sure that your teams are using Scrum, but start tracking the number of continuous improvement activities actually implemented and ask employees for feedback on transparency. And last but not least, it is important to deliver training, but let's make sure that we know whether there is a natural corresponding reduction in microaggressions. And most importantly, let's see if there is a positive impact on psychological safety scores. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Woo! Thank you so much for this.
Any questions? Happy to.
I wanted to stop commenting to everything and give space to anyone, but I'll break the ice. I found myself lately having an issue with empowerment. I totally agree with your presentation. Don't get me wrong. In my case, I feel that empowerment lately still puts a lot of weight on us, on the women in tech, or on the people of color missing or the category that is still in disadvantage. They have to be empowered. And what I experienced in some of the cases was that I was empowered, but still the road ahead of me was blocked by other people. So it was nothing about I'm not empowered to do something, but I was like either not allowed to do, or second, I was like literally, I wouldn't say pushed away, but I think exactly like we believe that we have to educate both sides, kids, girls and boys, to respect each other and all. A lot of work has to be done in the organization to understand there is place for everybody, not to empower the people that need to step up, or not step up, to take more, get more, but also to be sure when we identify situation when they are discriminated or when they are, just have a closed door, you know, because sometimes that's it is. And yeah, something like that. Because it's still a thought. It's not very, as you see, it's not very clear in how we can fix it. But I feel that sometimes you are empowered, but other factors are the ones that block you. And people,
yeah, absolutely. And I think, and that was, you know, the crucial point of it is empowerment is good, but if you don't look at psychological safety, if you do not look at unconscious bias, that empowerment will only get you as far. Like, it is important to look at empowerment, but also like the diversity considerations.
And it was an amazing thing that you mentioned, we trust the people that are like us. It's also very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? No, then we're gonna quickly jump to our last talk. Joanna, go for it.
I'm here one sec to also share the correct thing, hopefully. And yeah, I have an interesting, hopefully interesting topic, but at least will be controversial in a good way. Also prepared the tea to be properly acquainted with the royalty in London. The accent is a bit fake, it probably won't last long, but because will last long because I'm from Transylvania, originally currently in Cluj-Napoca, but slightly moving to Berlin. I have more than 12 years in the industry, being these days engineer manager at Cost Sandbox. And I volunteer for a lot of time. You can find me on Twitter too. Why is that going? Okay, sorry. First disclaimer, these are not official things. Of course, this whole presentation is based on The Crown, the Netflix show, which is a dramatized cast video show, whatever, is not based on real facts, is influenced. Take it with a grain of salt, of course. And why would I do something about, you know, the Queen when, again, probably I should do about vampires from Transylvania? Is because last year or the year before in the lockdown, I started watching The Crown. And my trigger was this part. And when I saw this scene, I was literally, you know, like doing movies. I was on my sofa, I was yelling at the TV. I was like, talk to him, ask him why you believe a note. Why don't you ask for? And I realized this is a problem of communication. Exactly what I have in my team sometimes. If we don't ask the whole context, we will never know. In this case, the Queen was thinking that the prince was cheating on her with another lady, and she was very upset, but she never asked him anything, and she just left a note when he left England that, hey, remember you have a family. Everything could have been fixed if she communicated directly, hey, are you cheating on me? No, dear. Oh, that's fine, let's move on. Something like that happened in products too, when we think that we have the context, but we don't, and we start implementing something that's at the end very different from what it was envisioned. Okay, let's go back to the original order. Most of the time as a product, you inherit the idea. Like the Queen inherited this. It wasn't something that she chose when she was born, it was given to her. So exactly when you change job and you get a new product, you inherit it. The idea might come from the founders or is discussed, but it's not entirely your idea only, and you get to decide what you want to build. You have to listen to your stakeholders and also implement the thing. But nevertheless, you have to do a commitment there. Now and then when you said, oh, this is my new role, I'm committed to it, you just have to embrace it and take the decision making on their side. Exactly like the Queen, as you see, when she had the ceremony, she did declare that. Unfortunately, in terms of Charles, hope he's not listening to this talk, he still has to wait. And for him, this wait literally made him say that until his mother dies, he's not able to live the life that was partially given to him. So the commitment is a really, really good part, and waiting for it will be a real struggle. The third thing that I learned from the Queen was that she was uneducated. Of course, she was to private school, but she realized that what she was thought was not necessarily what the people needed. She needed to understand laws. She also needed to understand history of other countries when she met with the leaders, and she get herself some tutors. Everyone was kind of laughing behind her, saying that she's the Queen, she doesn't need it, she has people, but she really felt that, hey, I need to step up my game in order to be equal at the table with the others. 4, delegate. You cannot do all, and you have to trust your team. She had really 2 really close advisors for her. They would take all the stuff that was not necessarily intended for her, or sometimes even more, like they would create the story for her to understand. She did not overstep them many times. She did trust them. So build your team with trust, and when they come with suggestions, do accept them. I said this with communication was my trigger personally. And the 6th lesson learned from the Queen was to have a process. Nothing could have come to her directly if it was not first vetted by these 2 people that I mentioned, where they were their advisor. There is a royal etiquette in order to get how you salute, how you react. And she literally declared at some point that this process, even if it's extremely hard sometimes, is what keeps them alive. The same would be in the team too. When you practice, if you initiate a process, keep on it. It will create, I would say, it will create more easiness in people to follow, to work on it, to report back, to give you statistics. If there is a process there in place, things should be a bit more smoothly. Innovate. Yes, royalty of 70-something year, please help me with terms. I'm not that a fan, I'm not that familiar, so I might miss these details, but a long reign can still innovate. And if we talk in case of the Queen, having a dance with the president of an African country, which was never ever seen before, and nowadays in product will be to try to innovate in terms of helping people with the needs, solve problems that they have, or create better solutions for something that is already out there. Don't stop trying to innovate. Don't just polish things. Try to see what users need in terms for you to help them have a easier life, better work, anything that will help them indeed. She brought also the first broadcast live, and she started the Christmas videos that she still sends out there. And she was the first royal person in terms of the highest royal, the Queen or the King, in a disaster place. She literally said that I'm not a queen only to ceremonies, I'm also a queen in bad times, meaning that when people are hurt, I need to be there with my people. 8. This was a really intriguing part in the TV show when Margaret Thatcher stepped in the role, and the Queen was really committing to not change her way of interacting with people. Margaret says a lot of time that, oh, she's a woman, she has to be tough, and criticizes other women not being the same as, not as tough as her. And I love the answer from the Queen that, don't worry, many people cried in his office and they weren't women only. Meaning that before the prime minister were all men, and including Churchill was crying there for her, which brought equality and also the diversity that we talked about earlier. She did stop to talk with paparazzis and other people that were trying to get to her, giving them a chance to talk. I did learn from the show that a burglar entered the Buckingham Palace, not necessarily for stealing, but to chat with the Queen, and he sit on her bed chatting in the midnight. And almost the last, but 9, was amazing to see the Queen taking in Scotland. We had someone from Scotland visit to countryside, still driving the car, shooting even. That was a bit too much for me, I admit. She took care of the horses. So she did indeed know how to disconnect from work, how to enjoy the other life. I found myself in this position many times, having an issue by coding or anything I didn't have a solution to. I took a break and literally new ideas popped into. So be sure to also take a break from time to time. And the last one, keep calm. No one, I think, would expect when she was nominated. Well, nominated was, I don't know how it's called the Queen, got the ceremony, I mean. But she lasted 14 prime ministers, 7 popes, and 12 out of 13 American presidents. I'm not sure if they met first with Biden. I think I have to also update this slide. But she also, passed wars and terrorist attacks and everything in between. No matter what, she keep on doing. She, as I mentioned, educated herself to be currently, with the times and enjoyed. She accepted even to make comedy with James Bond and keeps tradition alive in the same time. I felt that even if it's disputable, if the royal thing, everything related to the queens and kings are a product in the end or not, some lessons were learned while watching this 4-season show, and I literally put me thinking that we can learn even while enjoying Netflix. Thanks so much. You can find me on Twitter there. And this was my screen, by the way. I don't have a TV, so I project all the time. And it was a really nice way to enjoy the movie.
Thank you. I have to say I watched The Crown as well, and I learned a lot from the movie rather than actually reading history, because I'm really bad at doing that.
I exactly like you said, I found a lot of things. I'm like, was really? And I was like 5 minutes later on Wikipedia reading about it to be sure. Yeah. Many people told me afterwards that they consider the opposite a really bad product on it. And I said, like, that's life. Sometimes, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. That's why we have retrospectives and we get feedback to improve ourselves. Not sure if the Queen does retrospective, but we could suggest to her.
Yeah, she could be a little bit more agile every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. Something like just bits of it,
Thank you so much, Jana, and thank you for presenting that. Any thoughts, any questions or anything from anyone? We know it's late everywhere and we had to go above our time. Thank you again to everyone still being here with us, and thank you for your talks. Thank you so much. I'm speechless as usual. Thanks so much for sticking with us.
Yeah, well done to all the speakers.
Yeah, the guys, thank you for just carrying on and just being really resilient and saying we're going to do this anyway. It's really cool to be part of it.
Yeah, they couldn't stop us. Yeah. And thanks for allowing. Thanks for this opportunity to present something here. It meant a lot to me, Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you. We're gonna have these sessions again, and yes, if you know someone, now that you've started doing lightning talks and you enjoyed it, if you know someone in your life that could do it, just share it with them and just be supportive. I think that's my biggest advice. I'm really bad with talks as well, and I was the same, like encouraged by other great women in my life to do it, because if you start doing it, I think you get used to them, and who knows where you might end up. Yeah, and anytime, I think we've said this in the past, if you think any of your talks could be I don't know, could be longer, or if you want to explore the topic a bit longer, if you want to do a session with us, yes, do not hesitate to get in touch with us and just let us know. I think we had so many examples where the girls came in for a lightning talk and then they actually developed a longer talk. So if you have those ideas in your mind, just pop us an email and we're gonna get it sorted.